Okay, so this is just a hand review of one of the games that was played on the 19th of April in Mark Mages' Twitch TV stream, our regular Monday night Hanabi game. I'm just going to go through the hand, and Iggy was one of the players, and we're going to talk through what happened in the hand, and there won't be context, of course, from all of the people involved, but just my view of sort of how the hand went down. Um, hmm.
I forgot how funny my hand was from the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of fives. That's got to be pretty scary. It's interesting because there's so many fives. It kind of argues for using the two in your hand as a bluff. So like, if I were Mark and it were Mark's turn to start instead of Thopter Spy, I might be tempted to. Oh, but there's a yellow five, so you can't even really use it as a bluff in any
I don't
easy
even
way.
think it argues for using it as a bluff. I think it argues for keeping me busy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like the thing, so Thopter Spy. Wow, and Thopter Spy is perfectly wrongly positioned. Because if Thopter Spy were in Mark's seat, then like Mark would be thinking, oh, I know how to keep Iggy busy. Just don't clue any ones, and then when it gets to Iggy's turn, Iggy is going to clue Thopter Spy.
There's plenty of clues to be given. Like
Yeah.
This is great. Everyone has a nice combination that requires a second clue for clarification and like.
Yeah, and I mean the first candidate here to clue would be green to Mark Magus would be the first obvious thing to clue. Definitely, like touching these green cards is going to be a nice line. This green 2 becomes a good discard. You can still get to the red. Is there a good reason to deviate from that? An alternative thing to do would be to clue this 2. So that would go play, and then it would get to be Iggy's turn.
I think that puts me in a tricky situation because I can't deal with the yellows on my own.
Yeah, but from Thopter's perspective, Thopter can't see the yellows, and from Thopter's perspective, there's a nice follow-up because after cluing this finesse,
there's a 3 to be clued.
Green 2, yeah, it's going to be a 3's clue touching these 2 3s,
yeah,
and then that's going to get the first 3 played. So you've pretty much cleaned up the green suit because you can see the 5. So I think that's better than cluing green to Mark Magus, and I think I would clue 2 here to Yemen, which should be taken as a play clue and not a save. Because with so many good things around the table, there's no way that the first person should be doing a save like this, especially if there's a 1 in front of you. Like, definitely not a save.
It does make getting to the yellow one more complicated.
Well, yeah, but Thopter Spy can't see that, and frankly, like, after cleaning up greens like this, I would be tempted to just clue 1s, take the strike and move on.
Sure.
And in fact, yeah, I think cluing 2 here appeals to me. Like another possibility would be to clue these 1s. Where I would then expect a 5's clue to Iggy. And I don't like that as much, because then it's going to be awkward to get to this green 3, and I don't want to, like, I think that it's just a lot nicer to just use the 2 clues to get the greens out, and then hope that Iggy has a play. And this 2 doesn't need to be played. Like, Yemen can decline to play the 2, and then clue 5s. But I wouldn't do that if I were Yemen. I would probably just let that go. So okay, so what did Thopter Spy decide to do? Clue green to Mark Magus. A fine choice. Probably like my second choice out of the options. Where cluing 1s to Yemen would be the third choice. And I think those are the only real viable. Those are probably the only real viable choices. If I were Mark here, I would think that I probably held not 1, 2, 3, but probably maybe 1, 2, 4, or maybe, you know, maybe 1, 2, 3. But I would be really hoping that we were going to use. Well, no, you can't possibly have it. Essentially, Mark has to hold a 2 because otherwise this 2 would have been used this turn for a finesse. The line I was going down there was, if I were Mark, I'd really wish that we were able to complete the green suit. And then I would slowly reason my way into thinking that there's no way we can complete the green suit because 2 of his cards have to be the 1, 2 of green, so it's not going to work. And there's very little reason not to just play. Like, if you have 3 playable cards, you should really be playing. And I wouldn't sarcastic discard here. I think that's going against what Thopter Spy is telling you. Because if it were good for you to sarcastic discard, the finesse would have been given. So I would expect to play here. I would not expect a 1's clue. I mean, the thinking behind the 1's clue is that it's going to, quote, take 2 clues in order to get yellow played.
Are you sure that Mark isn't thinking that first card isn't playable because the 2 bluff was not, or the 2 finesse wasn't taken?
He's thinking that he has.
There's two strong things going on, right? Like there's a possible reverse finesse that would allow the green clue to work to Yeah Man, which would be beautiful if it were true.
No, but this can't be a reverse finesse.
Well, but the secondary point is that the 2, if that first card were playable, then the 2 would likely be used to bluff it.
Yeah, I mean, those are good arguments.
So I think there's a reason for Mark to think that he should wait till next turn to decide whether or not.
Okay,
his first card is playable.
My problem with that is that I think if you keep reasoning about it.
I just think from his position, it's not.
I can understand that he would think that either it could have been just regular finessed out, and there's a strong argument. I mean, a regular finesse was my first choice.
To do.
But I think the complication here is, okay, so let's say that he held 2, 3, 4 of green in order. So if he held 2, 3, 4 of green in order, then it's going to take 2 clues anyway, so it might as well be a green clue to Yeah Man. Although that does touch the green too. So I guess 2, 3, 4 in his hand would be a potential holding, because then it's going to go 2, 3, 4, and then someone's going to clue the green 5 next turn, and it's going to work. That is an interesting corner case.
In this particular game, I was not expecting Mark to play his 1 on this turn. The thing that occurs was not surprising to me. What was surprising to me was the hint that was given. But
yeah. I think that this shows an example of sort of how. This kind of shows an example of sort of how reverse finesses don't necessarily gain as much as you might think. So like if this were green 2, 3, 4 in order, then the green 2, 3, 4 could be clued next turn. And Mark, in fact, can bluff out Yeah Man's.
He's got a secondary motive though for not playing.
But no, wait. But I'm not even getting to not playing yet. I'm just talking about Thopter Spy cluing green to Mark. Like if like the argument for the reverse finesse, where it's 2, 3, 4 in Mark's hand, is that it gets you this value right now. But if that were the case, then actually what would happen is that you would just let it be Mark's turn, and then Mark could bluff out the green 1 at the front of the hand using yellow. And the yellow holding is actually a very, very common pattern for color holdings when bluffs occur, which is that there is a 1 of the same color later in the hand. And by common, I don't mean it happens all the time, but I mean that the frequency is actually higher than you would think, because there are more 1s than any other card, and that 1 is forced into a later position in the hand just by dint of it not existing anywhere else that can be seen. like when Thopter Spy gets the yellow hint and it successfully bluffs out Yaman's green one, like Thopter Spy could actually then could actually have a strong idea that one of the later cards is a 1, and by strong I mean that in the cases where in the small fraction, like it's roughly like it's about less than 10% of the time, where it's an impure bluff that's been given. Of that, 2/3 are it's this style, and 1/3 it's not. But that's kind of a technical point.
There's another reason why Mark might decline to play in this particular turn, which is that. Oh no, sorry. I'm gonna take that back.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say if keeping me busy requires 2 hints to Thopter, then Yemen would give one of these, and I would give the other.
Yeah, and from like my point of view, it looks to me like what Mark's thinking here is that actually the line that he's probably really thinking of is he wants Yemen to discard the green one. And then when Yemen discards the green one...
The green 2.
No, when he wants Yemen to discard the green 1, right, which has been reverse finessed. Because if he thinks that it's reverse finessed, then Yemen's gonna see, oh, hey, we touched this other green one, I can get rid of my green one and throw it away.
That would be clever.
And then by doing that, you get to use all the ones in the right order, and you come back to Mark's hand. But fundamentally, like, reverse finesses in this situation are like not, they don't get you the full value that you might think that they do.
Which is good because 1 wasn't given.
Yeah, which is well, no. What I'm saying is, but it changes the equilibrium of like what you think is going on. Like if you think it can't be a reverse finesse, then a whole different thing happens. And there are strong arguments to think that it should be a reverse finesse. Seeing the green 2 in Yemen's hand, and yeah, so I think that this is probably a super clever play. It's a super clever play. And if it's a reverse finesse and Yemen discards, it looks like a stroke of genius. But as it is, it's gonna, like now, literally, from the perspective of all of the players, every single green one has been touched. Mark thinks that Yemen's green 1 has been touched. Thopter Spy and Mark's green ones have both been touched. And yeah, that's gonna take some navigating. So Yemen, of course, thinks that what's going on is that Mark is trying to unwind the yellows with 2 clues. Yeah, okay, and Iggy in this situation is sort of obliged. The next player with nothing to do is Yemen, so that's going to be a red clue to Yemen. And then what we would expect to have happen is we would expect it to be...
hopefully.
Well, okay, so is there a 1? No, and there's no 2 visible that's not, like this green 1 here, which Thopter Spy doesn't know what the color is, but like there's no 2 that could possibly be better. So it's better to just hold it, and then if a 2 shows up, immediately play to signal that there's a 2. Interesting. Okay, so the expectation here is red to Yemen, and then we would expect the yellow 1 get played, and then at this point, Mark should play his first green. At this point, Mark should probably clarify things by discarding his first green card, because his first green card can't possibly be a 2, because Yemen would have played. So Mark at this point knows that it wasn't a reverse finesse. And the reason Yemen would have played is that Iggy would then just be forced to give the yellow clue.
I mean, rainbow's in play, so another possible holding that Mark has is a rainbow 1, green 2, green 3, or some such combination.
It's possible. I think that if it were the case that if it were rainbow, I would generally want to just clue the rainbow card or to take the bluff in some other way. So, okay, so let's suppose, so for example, let's suppose it were rainbow. Well, if it were rainbow, then there's a double bluff available because Thopter Spy on the first turn.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, so on the first turn, if Thopter Spy, if this card, here, whoops, this multicolored one. So, Thopter Spy could clue 2 to Iggy. And then what would happen is Mark would look, and Mark would see that if Mark does nothing, then Yemen's going to play the green 1, and then Iggy's going to play the yellow 2, and it's going to result in a strike. So from Mark's perspective, this card should be the yellow 1. So Mark plays the quote. So Mark plays the
presumed yellow 1.
So Mark plays the presumed yellow 1, and which is. So right, so it's a 2 to Iggy. And then what happens is Mark plays the yellow 1, finds out that oops, not the yellow 1. So now Yemen has to look at what this game situation is, and Yemen thinks, oh, well, if I do nothing, then what's going to happen is this yellow 2 is going to get played, and it doesn't match the multicolored 1. So the only way to prevent that is for me to play, because by me playing my playable card. For me playing this playable card, well, what's going to happen then? Well, what happens then is Iggy looks, and Iggy thinks, well, Mark looked at this green 1 and thought that this 2 wasn't green, and then played. Then Yemen looked at this multicolored 1 and looked at this 2 and thought, oh, it's not multicolored. So therefore, the 2 is not multicolored, the 2 is not green, so it should not be played. And then we would expect Iggy, and then we would expect Iggy to take some other action. And this is sort of, it gets 2 cards played, and it narrows to 50% of the cards, the remaining suits, what this 2 is. So that's a pretty high value proposition. So we wouldn't expect in the game situation, when we get to Mark's turn, we should not expect Mark to think that this is a rainbow 1. And if it is, in the unlikely chance that it is a rainbow 1 and these cards are just queued up for some other reason, then he has to take responsibility for the fact that he clued 1s to Thopter, and made the problem.
Sure. So you're saying you would expect him in this moment to discard?
Yeah, I would expect him to discard, but play is also reasonable. It is not reasonable to think that he has agreed to, because Yemen would not have clued yellow. Because Yemen had something to do that was critical to clarify. So Mark should probably discard instead of play, but I mean, okay, you get the strike. You might not get the it for a large number of turns, so you might be able to avoid it, but I think it would be better to discard it. Okay, so Yemen should definitely be playing. There's no reason to save the yellow 2. There's no reason to clue 5s. There's definitely a good reason to be playing, because Yemen should be looking and thinking that Iggy is going to clue 2 or 3 to Mark Mages. And in this situation, I would probably clue. I'd probably be cluing 3 to Mark Mages because I just want to touch this red 3. 2 would be fine too. If no other cards were involved, then I think cluing 2 is slightly more correct. But I'd probably clue 3. And then I'd probably clue 3. But regardless, that's what Yemen thinks is going to happen, so Yemen should play. Iggy at this point is going to clue 2 or 3 to Mark Mages, and I would expect 3, just to touch the red 3. What's the argument? Touching the red 3 is nice because the blue 4 is worth slightly less than the red 3. It looks like there are good discards. Thopter Spy, this green 3 is not needed at all, so it's a good discard. This green 2 is not needed at all, so it's a good discard. So I would really not want to see this red 3 go. There's a lot of time before Mark is going to get to that red 3. But I don't see much reason not to just clue it. I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Threes is totally fine. Threes is totally fine.
That was my reasoning, was to point to the 4 as a better discard.
Yeah, and then a red 4 shows up. It doesn't change anything. You still have another turn. No 2 has shown up, so that 1 in Thopter Spy's hand is still looking very safe. Ooh. Oh, that backfired. Okay, so Mark must have thought that this was therefore green 3, green 4. Oh, you have regrets. Mark must have thought that this meant it was green 3, green 4. I don't think that's accurate. So if it were, so coming back to your turn, if Mark held green 3, green 4, then the obvious thing to do would have just been to clue 2.
Yeah.
To Yaman. Because cluing 2 to Yaman would clearly indicate that Mark didn't have a playable card. And so there's no reason to clue 3 here if it's 3-4. If Mark held 3-5, well, the same thing would apply. It would be a 2 clue and you deal with the 5 later, but the green 5 is visible here, so it can't be in that order. Now it is a rainbow game. So this card could be rainbow, but it can't really be rainbow. I mean, it would have to be an immediately playable rainbow one if it were rainbow. Because otherwise the clue would be, because otherwise there would be no reason to clue. That you would just, if it were an unplayable rainbow, you would clue the green 2, and then the cards are just going to get played normally. And if it's a if it's a rainbow, it's an unplayable rainbow. It's a rainbow like the rainbow 2, or it's a rainbow like the rainbow 3 or 4, and it just got caught in the crossfire. And when he gets the 3's clue, that eliminates the rainbow 3. So it's a rainbow 2 or a rainbow 4, and either way, I would, yeah, something strange is going on. I mean, he might have had a different reason, but cluing this sort of, cluing a suit where you aren't really in control of the suit is always going to be a very dangerous proposition. I guess we'll see. Ooh. Oh, that's brutal. And then Yaman, because Yaman can see that it's not a green 2, but Yaman should. Okay, so that's interesting. So the way that Yaman should treat this moment is that, I should have said this before I saw what happened. The way that Yaman should treat this moment is that Yaman should think that Mark knows that Mark has a playable card. And Mark has chosen, instead of playing that card, to give this clue. And the clue could be a save. The clue could be to play. But if the clue is just to save, it's probably better to just play a card, get another card into the hand, and then hope that Yaman chooses from one of the options that are available. Like one option that's just screaming out here is it's cluing 5s to Iggy. Normally I'm not a big fan of the 5 save, but I mean there are 3 5s in play here, so it's not crazy to at some point tell Iggy about them. It's not crazy, but I would think that Yaman should be thinking that this is a red 2. Is there negative red on this card? Yes, there is. Oh, so this card is known. This just screams blue 2 to Yaman. So Yaman thinks it's a blue 2. Yaman just discards. Completely expected. Okay, so normal play from Yaman.
Like I said, I have regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume that Mark thought it was 3-4, and
I do think it should mean the same thing either way, though. I think the 2 clue or the 3 clue.
well, yeah, I mean,
I mean, we don't need to go over it again, but based on your reasoning that you gave,
Yeah.
I
being able to see this card makes a big difference. That, like, one thing I think that sometimes just gets lost is that, like, I don't really believe that when people get hunted, people should just continue to play, right? What I'm thinking. But, like, when it comes to Mark's turn and green cards have been touched, Mark can see that this 2 exists. Mark can see that this 3 exists.
Yes, but I do think that it's important that you, like, this is an example of, like, needing to trust your teammates in those cases, because we wouldn't leave it to him,
right,
to clean it up. We would, one of us would be required to have done that.
Yeah, and I mean, if he played this one thinking that it was the multicolored one,
and we lose the green too, so be it.
And then I'd be fine with that too. I mean, even if this is a green 4, like.
But I mean, we would have clued the green too.
Yeah. This is just it's unfortunate that it had such a bad consequence. That's for sure. Oh, and a green 4 comes in, salt in the wound. Okay, so so Iggy at this point should just clue 4 to Yaman, probably. 4. I would probably clue 4 here, because that sorts out the green suit completely. I would be expecting Mark to throw away the purported green 4 in Mark's hand. I would expect this to be discarded, and then when that gets discarded, Yaman is gonna play this. So I would probably clue 4 here, expecting it to go play of the yellow 3, discard of the green 2, and then play of the green 2. So that's what I'm expecting. Discard. Yeah, I wouldn't discard. There are 3 clues left. There are 3 clues left, and I think you can help out you can really help out the game situation.
I think force has the potential to be confusing and look like a yellow 4 to Yaman. And after Thopter Spy plays his yellow 3, Yaman will.
When Mark throws this green 2 away.
I don't think that you have any reason to believe that Mark thinks that that's a green 2 on this turn, given that he didn't think it was a green 2 on his last turn.
He'll throw the green 2 away because he thinks it's a green 4. So, like, when you clue this green 4, Mark knows that this card can't be a green 4, can't be a green 5. Well, if it's a green 4, it's useless. If it's a green 3,
we established that it still could have been a multi 1 in the case where he clued the 2.
Yeah, so these are not equally probable that it's green and multi. It's much more probable that it's multi, because that it's green. Because if it were the case that the holding was green 1, green 3, remember that
the argument that I would like to make, though, is that sarcastic discards of cards that are not the card that's being sarcastically discarded often don't read to players. Like, you're suggesting that Yaman will understand in a universe that Mark thinks that that's a green 4 because of the 2 that he doesn't know was pointed to in his own hand. Like if Mark pitches this card, it's very likely that Yaman will play the 4, thinking it's the green 2, because he has such a strong reason to believe that the other 2.
No, because the 4 will include as 4. That's why I would clue it as 4. The reason I would clue this 4 as 4 is because I want to make it absolutely clear that, look, this is the green 4 we care about. Like, let's just play 4.
So the combination of so Mark is, but in order for that to not get misplayed, Mark is required to throw away that second card.
Mark is required to throw away that second card, but Mark should absolutely throw away that second card, because Mark has been told it's green. Mark has been told it's a green 2. Mark has been told it's a green. Mark has decided that it's a green 4.
I think that your description of what could happen here is factually correct and realistically impractical. So
it's definitely impractical. Clearing this up after this 2 Clue is quite.
I mean, my choice was to
difficult.
not do it. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
I was curious to see whether we were going to get a strike on the green one, the green 2, or the green second 2.
You know, honestly, if the 4 gets misplayed, there's another 4 in the deck.
It's true.
Um,
Not in green hurry anymore.
yeah, and I mean, mostly it's that if I'm going to clean up this mess, this is the only time to do it. Otherwise, just take the strike. You might as well. Maybe that's a good argument for just taking the strike. But it is important to realize that this card shouldn't be thought of as being multi. But hopefully, my hope would be that Mark goes back and then realizes that it's actually a 2 this whole time. But you discard. That actually, ironically, makes it less likely that. Oh, right. And then this is the strike from the ones clue. So be it. Then it's Mark's turn. Mark really needs to leave the room. You. So I would expect. Okay, if Mark thinks that it's a green 4, very hard to discard this in a rainbow game. Like, it's different if the forest clue happens from someone else. But in a rainbow game, would Thopter Spy have clued green if it weren't green? No. Because if we go back to the beginning, here we're on turn 14.
It was clued green originally.
Right, but if we go back here, if this were green 1, green 3, multi 2, there's no way that Thopter would have clued as green.
Right.
So like here on turn 14, I think we can be pretty confident that it's green. So I would expect Mark to discard, as a sarcastic discard, the green 2, thinking it's the green 4. The clue that I would absolutely not want to give is the red clue to Thopter Spy. Before I gave that, I would give a 5 clue. There are 4 clues available, so I would give a 5 clue to Iggy. Probably as my first choice would be Forest DMN. Or my second choice would be, well, no, he can't get Forest DMN. If he's going to do anything about the field, he has to discard. So I think I would expect to see a discard here of the yellow 2. If that doesn't happen, I would think that the clue is probably going to be 5s to Iggy, because it's kind of important to leave the red clue for Iggy, just to give Iggy something. Yeah, so I would expect one of those 2 things, and he chose the 5s. The sad thing is that Yemen is not going to play because Yemen still thinks that that it's blue. Although at this point, I mean, for
the 5 discard might encourage him to play.
Well, like the 5 discard encourages him to play. The fact that Mark didn't play this turn, because Yemen was going to give this clue. So Mark skipping over Yemen to give this clue is like him saying, like, you have something to do. And that thing can't be discarding because they don't need the clue right this instant. So it's got to be playing. And if it's playing, there's only one card that Yemen knows about. So I would expect to play. But it's a discard. And then Iggy, this is a clear red clue. And the reason it's a clear red clue is because this is going to have the effect of getting Mark to play the red 3. Because at some point it's going to come back around to Thopter Spy's turn. Thopter Spy is going to discard the green 3, and Mark is going to think, how did Thopter Spy know that it wasn't red 2, red 3? Oh, it must be because there's a red 3 visible, and that's got to be the one. And then we're going to see that red card. We're going to see that red card get played. So, like, this clue of red here is going to get through. Straightforward. And then at this point, I would expect. So Thopter Spy has a tough choice here. Normally, I want to play the red 2 because I want to try and, because Mark has this hidden card, which is this red 3. It's only been clued as 3. And I'd want to make Mark think, oh, why is this 2 getting played right away instead of that yellow 3? But that yellow 3, there's that yellow 4, yellow 5 lined up. And so if Thopter Spy plays the yellow 3, then Mark Magus can clue yellow to Iggy. And that's going to result in the yellow 4, yellow 5 getting played, and it's going to also the multiply. That's a really appealing line. Now, because that line is so appealing, if Thopter Spy plays the red 2, then Mark should immediately just bang down the red 3, because the only reason to give up on such a line is if there's this even better line, and the even better line is to just get to Iggy's red 5. And what I would expect there is if Thopter Spy at this moment were to bang down the red 2, and Mark Magus were to bang down the red 3, and then it comes all the way back around to Thopter Spy, and Thopter Spy bangs down the red 4, and then it gets all the way back to Iggy.
Then I should play it first.
Iggy's, with no clue needing to be given, that red 5 is going to get played. Because it's like, I don't know what these maniacs are doing, not playing green, but clearly we've got to get paid for it. And the only way we get paid is if 5 hits.
Well, what's really cool about this from my position is that there's only one 5 that I can't see, and that's blue. So if my first card is red or yellow, they can choose which one.
Yep.
And then because they can choose, they don't have to clue to me. That's kind of the TLDR of your entire soliloquy.
Yeah, there's like a 2/3 chance of them being able to get it played for free. And really, there's no loss. Like, it doesn't matter which one. These are both 2 great options, and I don't care which one happens. I would have a hard time choosing. I would have a really hard time choosing. With 3 clues, okay, so I think I would probably choose yellow. And the reason I would choose yellow is because I want to give Yaman something to do this turn. And I know that Yaman has no idea that there's this green 2. And so I think that yellow is more likely to clear without the rainbow 4 getting discarded. Whereas if I choose red, then there's a decent shot that I'm going to get the rainbow 4 discarded. So I would probably choose yellow, but to be honest, like, this is choosing between 2 great choices. Oh, and the red 4 got played. Okay. So why did the red 4 get played? Okay, that means that back when this red 4 was probably in first position. Oh, I see. So this 3's clue happened before the red came in. The red's in. 2 clue happens. That's just a playable card. 5 gets discarded. The 2 gets discarded. Thopter Spy misplays the 1. That's fallout from the first hand. 5 gets clued. Okay, that's nothing unusual.
My memory from the recap is that Thopter said that it was because of my choice of the 3's clue. But to your point, that card wasn't in Thopter's hand when the 3's clue was given.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was him going back in time.
Oh, going back in time to here, and then not realizing, like, oh, the 3's clue was given here, and this, like, because if the 3's clue is given in this situation, but this is not.
That's my only guess, but that doesn't. I mean, we had a discussion. I'm pretty sure that was the conversation we had. That 3's clue couldn't mean that anyway, because it's just to clarify the.
Yeah. So like.
I mean, I don't actually think it's worth talking about because I don't even think it was a possibility.
I think it's more likely to just be a slip of the mind.
I think so too.
Let's take a look. So, like, what's going on here? I mean, if you clued red to Mark Magus, you could get but no, you would. This is just Better. Yeah. I don't think it's worth reading into that very much. I think that's just that's got to just be.
Oh, or
Yeah.
maybe his point was that if it weren't reversed, then I would have given red to Mark.
Yeah, but that's not true because you would. So like, if the clue were given as 2 here, then giving red to Mark would be better. But when the clue is given as red here, then you're picking up another card, another playable card, and so that's better. And actually, one thing to be considering is that this could be given as red. This could be a multi-1. This could be a multi-2. Like that could be a holding that might happen. And giving it as red might just be a way of getting them played. So reversing it is reversing it is definitely a choice. Yeah, this is this red clue. We get played out of order. That's strange. It's going to be very hard to survive this without a strike. I would expect a strikeout at this point because those twos are just lethal now. They're just lethal.
I've had so many rounds of not playing any cards despite having all the stuff.
Yeah. And now Mark gives a green clue. Yeah. No, this is the wrong player giving the green clue. Like, as just aesthetically, like Mark as the player with the green cards is the one who was given the green clue. Like the recipient of green is the player who should not be giving green. Like, whatever clue gets given, it shouldn't be a green clue, because either Mark knows that this is the green 4, knows that it's the green 2, knows that it's shouldn't touch green. Can give this clue as yellow, can give this clue as anything but not green. Because anyway, this green 2 is going to get played, but there's that. It will get played as a result of this clue. I would still give. But the wrong red got played, so 2 suits just got split. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Okay, going back to this moment just one more time. If I were unsure about the order of these cards and which one should get played first, I would just be playing my yellow.
Yeah.
Because
that we can get out of yellow.
Because I'm not going to think that hard about this. I'm going to let it sit for a turn, and if it's reversed, someone will clarify that. There will be, it'll come around and Iggy, instead of playing this yellow 5, will just fix it. Because there's no reason to be confused. But okay, they get played out of order. Yemen discards, that's a very professional play. That's well done. Because that saves the game-ending strike. That saves the game-ending strike, and at this point, I'm sure Mark was like, oh, and went back and realized everything that had happened. That's low. And then a 2 clue? That's just mean. That is just mean. that is so mean. A 2 clue there I would not have given. I think the right clue is probably.
To be completely honest with you, I was worried. The only reason I did it was that in the moment, and this is a poor rationale for it because I think my actions actually make it worse. But in the moment, I was like, I don't want anyone else to read into that sarcastic discard.
I can understand wanting to avoid that. However, there's kind of a sunk cost going on there. I mean, here the one logical thing would have just been to clue red. Another logical thing would have been just to clue yellow, because this is actually the next. Yemen is the next player with nothing to do.
Yeah, I don't
Dr.
think
Spy
that
as an action.
Clue is a
Magus
particularly strong clue, but I wanted to encourage Thopter to play and work.
And cluing yellow to Yemen gets Thopter to play the yellow 3, so it's going to go yellow 3, green 2, yellow 4. And, at least it gets back to the acting player. The red 2 got played, not a choice I would have made. I would have prioritized yellow at this point, because yellow gets you that clue off the yellow 5. And also, the other reason is that I don't want Mark to play this red 3. I don't want Mark to even have the option of playing this red 3. I want Mark to discard this blue 4. Like, and by playing yellow, I'm making sure that Mark either plays this card or clues this card. I don't care which one of those happens. This one gets the yellow 5, and the green and playing the green is fine too. Slightly less. Anyway, but I'd be on yellow at this point. Yeah, man. Options.
Not many.
I'd probably clue yellow to because yellow to Iggy here is gonna end up reversing this. And that's good. Oh, you might lose the blue 3. The things I'm considering are: is it better to discard this card or this card? And with nothing known, I don't really know, so it'd be probably either discarded this card. Yellow to Iggy is viable, but the problem is that's going to get this blue 3 discarded, and it's almost certainly the case that discarding this card is better than discarding that blue 3. So given that, it's probably best. Iggy's going to clue this yellow 4. There's a good chance of Iggy holding the yellow 5, and so that's logical. There's no reason to rush into greens because the green 5 is dead. Or the discard is aggressive. I wouldn't discard with 3 clues. I just don't see any reason that I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to get a full playable card, and there's something reasonable to do. And I think my job for the rest of the game is going to be to give clues and then wait for my 5s to come home. And cluing yellow is going to get one of my 5s because it's going to go play of the yellow 3, play of the yellow 4, and yellow 5 is. Yeah, but the odds of you having a yellow 5 are very, very high. It would be nice if someone other than you had started this, but it's okay.
My rationale was just that I had been holding on to that card in the first position of my hand for many turns.
Yeah.
And there have been multiple opportunities for people to force and get to my 5s, so.
Yeah, well, like the misplay of the red in effect set that back 2 pounds. The misplay of the red. Okay, so now it's got to be a yellow clue. And if it's a yellow clue now, then it means it was correct to do it before. Because you could be discarding the 3 now. So like, walking ahead, like, I mean, this was all predictable at this point where this blue 3 is. Like, it was predictable that it was going to go yellow 3, Mark's going to play, this play happens, and then it's your turn. So because of that, it's better to just clue yellow here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Because then if this card, if it comes back to you, if this card is truly just...
I objectively agree with you. You don't have to convince me.
Oh no, I'm just doing it for the, doing it for the crowd. You gotta give the crowd what they want. Yellow. Oh yeah, so this is, so now it's back to Iggy, so this is gonna be a yellow clue. And then here, Thopter Spy does not want Yemen to discard, so Thopter Spy should discard here. Because Yemen's going to clue because Yemen's going to clue the clue yellow to Iggy. That's a discard, and then this should just be a play, and then this is going to be a yellow clue to Iggy, which completely identifies the 5s. Iggy plays. Thopter Spy here. One choice is to clue 2 here. Another choice Yeah, so one choice is to clue 2 here. Another choice is to discard. Mark has something to do, so that's not an option. 2 here is very dangerous because this blue 3 could get discarded. So I would discard here because I want Yaman to have to clue this 1. And if it gets to be Yaman's turn, Yaman is going to clue this 1. So I'm discarding. If I'm not discarding, then I'm pretty much obliged to clue 1. Ooh, ugh. Can't do that. It's team discard. Discard all day. Yep. Okay, so Mark's up. This should be a clear play, but there's no red 4s visible. And if Yaman clues the 1, the rainbow 1, there are 5 clues available, so Yaman has there are plenty of clues. So this could go blue, leaving Yaman to clue the rainbow 1. And blue to Thopter Spy looks really nice here. So I would, if the red 4 were visible, I'd be playing this red 3 all day. If the red 4 were in my hand, I would have deep regrets about not playing the red 3. But it's raw. This kind of has to be a blue. I mean, this is easy. Is it easy? I'm just trying to think if there's a nicer way to go. There are 13 cards in deck.
I think it's easy. But what other clue are you thinking?
Well, no, I'm just going through all the possibilities. Like, it could be like you could do. Yeah, it's just got to be a 1 clue. Nothing else. There's nothing. No. Discard. Discard of the known safe discard. That would not be in my list. With 4 clues available, with 4 clues available, with the next player with a playable card, with pace like this. So, like with pace 4, there are only 4 more discards. So the team can't really afford to take unnecessary discards, and there's no reason to. There's really no reason to. Yeah. This is not a great line. I mean, I would expect. Okay, Iggy cannot discard here because of the pace. And so because of the pace, I would expect brutal.
I don't have a good clue.
Well, no, you have to save the blue 3. Like that, there's no choice. You just have to do it. And the fact of the matter is that Yaman shouldn't be discarding when it gets to Yaman's turn anyway. So Mark's going to have a clue to be able to talk about what the cards are.
Sure.
So, I mean, this discard cost this was an enormously expensive discard. Really expensive.
I don't remember the rationale for it.
The only thing I can think is that this had been included as green. All the way back here, Yaman, this was included as green. And that's a mistake. This should have been included as green. Oh, but he wanted to include green to touch this green too.
It was.
So it's extra fallout from the fact that this green 2 was. Because if this 2 were known, then this would just be a 4 clue, and then it would be very clear that it was a 4 with saving. And then when we get to this point where it gets discarded, at this point when it gets discarded, Yaman would know that this was a non-green 4 worth something. Seeing that you look forwards would know that this was a multi-4. And since it's uniquely identified, you shouldn't be getting rid of it. But with the game situation, a hint here is just mandatory. Like a clue here is just mandatory. Absolutely mandatory. Okay, so 3 saving the blue 3. Taken as a saving the blue 3. Possibilities, and it's a game-ending possibility. And it's going to be okay because it's not going to be a red 3, so there's at least a turn before that comes into play. And then, okay, and then this is all fine because Yaman has to give this rainbow 1 clue. This is really rough on Iggy though, because the turn before.
Because we should have gotten it a turn early.
Yeah.
So now it looks like.
Yeah, because the turn before you should have gotten it, and when you didn't get it, it makes you think that when you don't get that clue, it makes you think that this card is discardable. So then here, when you come around the next turn and you're told that this card is suddenly now magically playable, this looks like there's
no card that could be other than an M4.
Some sort of a, yeah, like.
And the only reason it's an emergency on this turn is because he discarded
the M4. Yeah, this was just discarded, and just tell people when they have cards to play. Like, especially in the end game, like, just tell people. Yeah, so like Yaman discards the multicolored 4, and then it comes around, and then this is honestly, like, if the other strange things hadn't happened in this game, I would be throwing this card away every day of the week.
Except it's not a day of the week
but it's a Monday, so given the other things that have happened, I'm playing it. Strike be damned. And I would have a note on this card like, you got to tell me about this a turn earlier. Anyway, Thopter Spy is going to play, and then Yaman's going to get that multi-2 hinted. And then Yaman plays the multi-2. Iggy has a mandatory clue here, which is the mandatory clue here, probably clue 5 to mark. I don't want to clue 4 to mark because that's and does Yaman need a clarification? Oh, that's so rough. No, Yaman should know that the last 3 is the blue 3, so Yaman doesn't need a clarification. I would probably clue 5 here, and I wouldn't want to clue 4 because I don't want it to go multi-3 gets played, and then Mark thinks that this is the multi-4. So I would just clue 5 and chill, because I'm going to clue 5 and I'm going to clue blue next turn. Hopefully Mark will have something to clue. I would expect. They're looking grim. Well,
no,
what did Iggy decide to do? Discard. Discard I would not do. Because if I draw a third playable card, I should be cluing, because someone's going to need to clue that, and so we can't afford to spend down pace unnecessarily. And so this is a moment where there's no reason to because it just costs pace. Thopter Spy clues blue. Okay, fair enough. This plan works as well. This plan commits everyone to give 2 clues. Like, it's interesting if the 5 clue happens. If the 5 clue happens, then a blue clue later will work. If the blue clue happens, the nice thing about it is it makes Mark think that he's cards, and it commits someone else to giving the clue. What's weird is that doesn't get the rainbow 3 played. So I would think, like, the sequence I'd be expecting here is I'd be expecting Thopter Spy to play the rainbow 3. But Thopter Spy can see this rainbow 3 now, so thinks that this is maybe a rainbow 4. Oh, what a tangled web. Okay, so because this 3 was touched later, it's reasonable for Thopter to think that this rainbow 3 is a rainbow 4. Because Thopter thinks that this could be a rainbow 4, Thopter can't really safely play it. And so the blue clue happens, and the expectation I think that Thopter has is that Iggy, on Iggy's turn, is going to clarify this. Which should happen. But probably what will happen is it'll get to be Iggy's turn, and then Iggy will take any other action. Because that will force Thopter Spy to clarify and not misplay the Rainbow 4. Hopefully someone draws a Rainbow 4, and then that clarifies it. The 2 in 6 chance, so 1 in 6 chance. Okay, so a blue clue to Mark. Mark now knows that with pace 2 it's not safe to discard. So Mark clues 3, which is good because that means Yemen can now play the blue 3 and chop, and then Thopter Spy can play the Rainbow 3. And that's a perfectly efficient movement. And Yemen plays the Rainbow 3, which is a less good line. It's a less good line. Thopter Spy will now have to, which consumes 1 of the 2 remaining pace. Iggy is forced to clue, so this is going to be a 5 clue. Because that's perfectly unambiguous. And then Thopter Spy probably. It's interesting, given that there was a 3 clue, Thopter Spy knows that the multi-4 can't be in Thopter Spy's hand. So, I'd be trying to think if there is a way that I can communicate using this which is red and which is rainbow. Using this moment.
To me?
Yeah.
I already know. My 5s were given to me as yellow.
Oh, they were? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. So it's no. There's nothing
no
to do.
No communication needed.
Throw. Yeah, just throw a card away. Last card is probably best because Yemen could have picked up the multi-4 here. So when Thopter Spy throws away the last card, it tells Yemen that the multi-4 isn't held. And then yeah, this is a rainbow error. Mark plays the blue 4. Okay, so the first question is...
So it wouldn't have been a problem if Yemen had played the correct 3.
Mark should not think that this is multi.
But it wouldn't have been a problem if Yemen plays the correct 3.
Why wouldn't it have been a problem? It's going to be exactly the same.
Because that card doesn't get played. Like, if Mark believes that it's the Rainbow 3, then it doesn't matter then. Then
No. So
I don't think you're listening. So back when Yemen had a choice between 3s to play, if Yemen plays the blue 3,
yes. Oh yeah.
Thopter will play the multi 3, and Mark's 4 is playable regardless of his personal.
Yeah, but this is a blunder because But this is a blunder, and the reason this is a blunder is that. So look at this moment when you discard. So this moment when you discard, if Mark has the multi-4 in this position,
I certainly clue it.
Then there's no way that you discard.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to clue the multi-4. And the reason you're going to clue the multi-4 is because it clarifies everything for Thopter Spy. It goes play, and then Yemen plays the blue 3, which is known to be in chop because that's when the save was given.
Right.
And so...
Right,
so,
right.
So yeah, so like this is just a plain, simple, that yes, Yemen should have played them in the other order.
But it's a rainbow. Yeah, it's a rainbow game. It's a rainbow game mistake.
Yeah, but it's a rainbow game mistake because it's a mistake where someone might look at the back of the card and think, oh, it's equally likely to be rainbow or blue. And that's not true. Like, it's not equally likely. It's blue because you were told blue. And if you wanted it, if this were rainbow, then the right thing to play it, then you wouldn't give the clue touching all the cards. You would only touch the rainbow 4. Because that clue of 4s would just touch the rainbow 4, and then a clue of blue later would tell you about the blues, and a clue of 5 is perfectly descriptive. Like, it's going to tell you exactly which 5 it is, because you can see all the other 5s. So like there's no reason to give this high efficiency blue clue, unless it's perfect, and it's perfect. So, and that's kind of why I would just give this clue as 5, frankly. But anyway, okay. So that's unfortunate. I mean, that's kind of like a team mistake, I would say. And that's the third strike. Oh, that's the third strike.
It's a rough game. I mean, we had that third strike coming for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So let's enter the hypothetical and let's just check, like, how expensive that was. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just check how expensive it was against the line of play. Because maybe, I mean, one possibility is that Mark just read it to the end of play, and then because it was read to the end of play, it was the only thing to do.
I mean, that is a possibility.
And that would look like I guess, I don't know, red to Iggy. Horrible. Blue gets played. Iggy can't do anything, so oh, actually, it can't be blue to Iggy. It's got to be. Oh, it's horrible. I mean, yeah, this game was lost. No,
Yeah.
this game was lost anyway because Mark can't have Iggy draw, and Mark doesn't want to discard. So but let's say, so I think Mark has to discard here because like Iggy can't pick up the red 4. That's not good. And then so has to leave a clue, and then this is going to be for the young man. And then Thopter Spy discards because there's nothing else to be done. And then that triggers, and then that triggers this game end. And this 4 does get played blind, so it would end up at 24, 20, 22. Oh no, 23. So it was going to be a 23-point game as the cards say, and if that were a Rainbow 4, it would probably still be a 23-point game. Oh no, it wouldn't. It would be 24.
That game had a lot of expensive moments.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were summarizing, I think that like the wreckage of this opening, like this game was lost in the opening, for sure.
No, but the fallout, specifically the fallout of me giving the clarification as 3s instead of 2.
No, but it was already blown. Like this clue here, this one, this very first clue in the entire game, this clue was misread. And whether you want to say that it was misgiven or misread, I think you have to agree that this is the thing to focus on. This is the moment. This is like a critical moment in the whole game, because the evaluation of whether this clue is good to give has very much to do with whether Mark thinks that this clue is okay. And I would argue that whoever is giving this clue shouldn't be Mark. Like, don't be touching green colors if you agree. Like, Mark doesn't need to give this clue. Like this clue here, if it's pointing to these 2 ones, doesn't need to be given. This clue could be there. This clue could just be a red clue to Yaman. And if it's and then Yaman knows what to do. Like if Yaman thinks that this is a green 1, it gets played. If Yaman sees the thing, doesn't think that that's a green 1, it doesn't get played. And certainly it's not bad for you to be left this situation to deal with. And if the right thing to do is to just switch tracks and get this green 1 played, then that's the right thing to do. Like Yaman, like if Mark has like a green 1 here, like then if Mark has a green 2 here, then Yaman's going to play the red 1. Iggy's going to clue 1s to Thopter Spy, and it's going to go Thopter Spy play. Thopter Spy plays the green 1, Mark plays the green 2, and then Yaman discards the green 1. And so like I don't think that this is the I don't think that this if someone's going to give this clue, it shouldn't be Mark. And I don't think that I think that the interesting question about this clue is whether or not it should be read as a reverse finesse, or whether it should be read as just a straight green clue.
Yeah.
And I would submit that a reverse finesse in this situation is not necessary. Like,
yeah, I think given this hand holding, there's a strong reason not to use not finesse to not mean.
Yeah. So let me just show what that looks like. That looks like this. That's saying that this is like a green 2, and this is like a green 3, and for all the reasons we already talked about, it's pretty clear that sort of why it can't be a multi. Like, if multis are mixed in here, they're like multi 1 in the second position. And because if you just have a random multi card in here, then you're not getting enough value out of it. You've got to be touching at least 2 playable green cards, or you've got to be touching a playable green and a playable multi in order for this to be okay. So let's say it's a general, like, even in a, like, this could be a non-rainbow game and it's this situation. Well, isn't it better to just clue 1 through than have Mark clue. Mark might clue in the worst case 5s to Iggy, assuming that there's nothing else going on, and then Iggy might clue, I don't know, green to Mark, and this is the same number of clues as the reverse. This is the same number of clues as the reverse.
But everything gets played 1 turn sooner.
Yeah, everything gets played 1 turn sooner, and it touches the red 1, and there, yeah. So it's like there's no need, like, giving a reverse here doesn't give you any extra value, and so because it doesn't give any extra value, like, this sort of game situation shouldn't be a reverse. And if it turns out that this is like a playable multi card, then, well, it's a playable multi card and it should just get played. So like that's definitely
You just spent a really long time on this game.
Well, that's the amount of time it takes, Yeah. So, and then I think everything after this is kind of sort of in the realm. And yeah, it's unfortunate. This moment is unfortunate, but I think it's lateral damage from the original. So that's my summary. I think it's a game. Certainly, it was lost here in the first 10 turns, and then everything else is just sort of. So okay, maybe I'll get around to reviewing some of the other games from Monday. They might all be equally long. I don't know.
But if you are going to do another one, I have a recommendation for you.
Oh yeah.
Which is to do the first one that Mark's table played. It was a 3-player game of the night, and it had an interesting opening.
Okay, all right. So yeah, Twitch TV, Mark Magus, spelled like that, on Monday. All right, that's that. It's a wrap.